that we've heard coming from that side of ours mainly helps small, bigger companies. They don't really help the smaller companies that are already existing. But you are giving, you're already giving out a hand to the companies that they've already characterized to you. The one that has already incremental development, the one that has the ability for R&D, and the technology that they have is much, much greater compared to the smaller companies that are trying to crop up within these industries, right? We think there's a very huge misunderstanding from coming from that side of the house. They wanted to increase capability of these individuals, or these companies to go and access, startup capital. But we feel that in Saint School, there are already those things, right? We feel that you still have access to government loans. You still have access to grants, for example. So we don't really think that's necessarily a counter proposal, right? But we also feel that in those instances, right, when your loans do not work, when your government assistance does not work, what then do you do for these companies who are trying to start up? Nothing from that side of the house, nothing to show for it. Actually, points in my speech. Firstly, can we restrict the free market? Secondly, will we harm these corporations? And thirdly, will there be a reduction in innovation? Let's go to the first issue, right? Can we restrict the free market? If you notice, that was her second argument, right? That we're going to restrict the free market, that's bad. I mean, good job, guys. Keep up with the update. That's exactly our proposal. We want to regulate completely the free market, and we think that's pretty much a good thing. But they don't really understand what's happening exactly, right, within Saint School. Because it's the exact problem that they were saying within the second speech. The fact that companies that already have a stronghold, right? The companies who have the ability to develop far quicker and far greater, because of the fact they already have the R&D, that's much greater. We think that's where the dominance comes in. Smaller companies trying to engage and trying to actually obtain these kinds of technology, trying to obtain the same kinds of resources, for example, to actually create those kinds of technology is way behind. Because of the fact that Apple is already established, the rate of development is too quick. They're releasing phones almost every year, for example. So how do you expect a smaller company to come up with that? How do you expect a smaller company to go and compete with that because of their dominance within the market? They say that they can catch up. How freaking way, right? There's no way, for example, within this instance, a new company that comes up with the iPad 3 or iPad 4, right? And then trying to sell it into the market because society already knows that Apple is the one that created this, or that Apple is the one within the pioneer when the idea of when it comes into tablets. What did we tell you, right? We told you that we control the free market all the time. We give you higher taxes when you're higher in the bracket when it comes to profit. If you want to set up your company in different countries, for example, governments always impose restrictions as who you should hire. You should hire more locals, for example. You can hire a limited amount of foreigners. So we still do see an infringement or some form of intervention when it comes into the free market to ensure that the control of these corporations are very much limited. Governments also have competition laws, right? Anti-monopoly laws within Saint School as well to control the amount of influence these companies have. So how can you tell us that the state does not have any form of intervention? But this is not a direct monopoly, right? It's an implicit monopoly which cannot be countered by monopoly laws because they're following rules and regulations and they are legal, right? So but how do we do this? How then, if they're here, then how are you expecting to help these smaller companies? How are you expecting to help, considering that you also agree that they already have a huge incremental rate of development, how then do you expect these institutions to come up? Nothing came up from that side of the house. Yeah, sure.
Now tell us how limiting patents will ensure now that startups have the necessary research and development facilities to develop on that particular patent.
Cool. I'll tell you that in my second point of contention, right? Will there be a reduction in innovation? Because this is what they told you. They told you, number one, that there will be a stagnation of innovation. But they never really told us how, because there was a contradiction. Because they said, you know what, you're limiting the ability for these companies to fully maximize, right? Because they have so many resources. If they have so many resources, what is the incentive to not maximize it or not use it at all? Once we limit that cap, once we limit the amount of patents, right? It's kind of, it doesn't really make sense. I'm a big company, but the government limits the amount of patents that I can have. I won't develop anymore, considering that I have 5 billion behind my back. No logic, right? But also, how do we tell you that how we can assist these companies? Because of the fact that they're now able and there's already some form of assistance to them, we're giving them a quota of patents to them as well. Because right now, we're also hindering to a certain extent the ability of bigger companies to develop because they've already established themselves. They've already garnered the amount of money that they can have with the 30 years lifespan of these patents. So then there's ability. The tendency for these corporations to enter into the market is much higher as compared to having no assistance at all, because startup capital is just not enough. They also have to establish a lot of things. They also have to establish reputation. They also have to establish R&D, right? So at least giving them that sort of quota can help them within an instance. Then you say the stagnation of technology. We don't think so. We don't think that suddenly you stagnate a form of technology, you will lose out completely and you go bankrupt. You also have technology within these gadget industries are what? You have applications, you have gadgets, you have docks that you sell, or iPhone covers, right? So we don't really see necessarily that these companies would die out completely because people would still buy their products and still buy the ancillary products and technology that we have. They never battled with our argument, right? How this creates better competition. They said, you know what, no competition already exists because they're fighting against big markets. Shit, right? I mean, look at Apple. Look at how much money they're still charging people for a phone, for calling people, right? So if that was the case, I didn't have to save all my allowance just so I can get my iPhone as well. That doesn't make sense because they've already established themselves. The fact they were fighting with Samsung in Germany for the technology already shows that society is already thinking that they're the pioneers within this, that I'm going to buy that Apple, shit, whatever Android is, Mac is the way to go. So that's the kind of thing that we've already created. So we don't think there's a stagnation within innovation. Then the idea of better competition would exist because now Apple knows that the that the dominance is threatened because of the fact that I know each and every other market or each and every competitor has the same capability as I am when it comes into patenting. Because it's not just, regardless of your startup capital, right? As long as you just say to the world, I'm going to do a patent, I'm doing research on this, that already puts a label on it, right? Regardless of how much money you spend. So the idea of tagging those labels and obtaining these technologies, right? That's where it gives you a upper hand. Let's go to the last issue, right? Will we harm these corporations? They said they will harm these corporations and the capability to grow. I've already handled that earlier on because we feel that there's no incentive to companies once you limit them that I'm not going to develop anything anymore. We feel that these corporations then are still better protected. They can still grow because it's self-regulating, right? I mean, you don't get patents overnight. Like I start researching and from a year from now I'm going to develop. But the fact is it takes a long time to develop. And once I have that patent, right, and then I have a 30-year expiration, I have a 30-year time period. Once that expires, Mr. Chair, and I get that profit, I can still go and create another patent 30 years down the line, which is still far more, which is still far better and better for that time. So we feel that it's still self-regulating because the time it takes to R&D, the time it takes to patenting, and then when it expires, new companies can come in. So we don't think that there's a really big harm coming from that side of the house. Ladies and gentlemen, we were very clear, we were very consistent. They were whining about things we didn't say the school. At least we were the ones that showed you why limiting is better.